Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Razovy, and today I'm going to make a video especially for people that are new to anime. Now I'm sure that even if you're not new to anime, this video is still going to be applicable to you, because I'm going to share tons of different anime that I genuinely think are good for a new anime watcher, but I actually think that a lot of you will have not seen all of these either. If you have, make sure to comment down below though. I'm actually quite curious to see if there are folks out there who have watched them all. But nonetheless, that's what we're going to do today. I hope it's going to be fun. Click on the like button if it is fun, that kind of stuff. Let's actually get started. These are in no particular order, by the way. Let's start with Haikyuu. Now, Haikyuu is actually a sports anime, and don't click off yet, because just because it's a sport anime doesn't mean that you're not going to like it. I am not into volleyball in any way, shape, or form. I never have been. But I actually really like this manga. We basically, manga anime, sorry. We follow Hinata in this case. And Hinata is he gets into volleyball, and he's actually quite short, so his length is kind of working against him in this case. Being able to practice this sport, and he tries his best, tries to become better, joins a team at his local high school, and we basically just follow all of these different cool characters, trying to make it in the volleyball world. And although, like I said, I am not a sports kind of guy, and I don't really care about volleyball to begin with, the matches that are played and the story behind it is so good, and it's such a convincing story that even though you might not like the idea of watching volleyball matches, it is so good. And they explain also like how everything works, and it's not technical. Like they're not good. It's not like they're going to give you a 50-minute exposition on how things work and what the best strategy is. It's very exciting. And if you haven't watched it yet, Haikyuu is probably one of the best anime to start, because it's a good story. It is not too dramatic, but there is some drama in it. It has comedy, it is fun, and it is very anime, but in a good way. And I think that if you are new to anime, Haikyuu is probably one of the best anime to start with, in my humble opinion. Now then we have Psycho Pass, and Psycho Pass is an anime that if you like cop or crime shows, or if you like shows that focus heavily on like psychology stuff, you're going to love Psycho Pass. It's basically set in a dystopian future in Japan, where Japan is led by a system called the Sybil system. People don't really understand what it is, but apparently it's keeping Japan safe, or at least that's what people think it does. And we basically follow Akane Tsunemori, who becomes a detective, inspector, whatever you want to call it, within this Sybil system. So she joins the police force in this case. And the Sybil system is basically able to judge whether a person is a criminal before they actually commit a crime. So Akane basically has to enforce the law before a person has done something wrong. And she struggles with this, and she struggles with this a lot, actually. And the people that she works with, for example, this guy, Kogami, these are criminals, or at least, even if they haven't actually done the crime yet, they were judged by the Sybil system, and the only way that they are not in jail is because they are now kind of like they call them the dogs of the inspectors, basically, and they have to do the dirty work for the Sybil system, and that's why they're allowed to walk freely, or at least semi-freely, because they're not 100% free in this society. It's a large story, and if you enjoy crime stuff, you're gonna love this. But if you are a little younger and you prefer the happy-go-lucky stuff, go to Haikyuu instead. It's way more fun, way more upbeat. But Psycho Pass is really good, especially if you're new to anime and you're not sure if you're going to like it because you've heard stories about that it's all just fan-servicey nonsense. If that's kind of your vibe, and if that's what you think anime is, then watch Psycho Pass. It'll basically turn around everything that you think anime is. So that's why I decided to recommend Psycho Pass. Is it for everyone? Everyone though? No, absolutely not. You need a certain amount of. You need to like adult storytelling, to like Psycho Pass. But if you do, then you're gonna love it for real. All right, let's go to the third one, which is Sora Yorimo Toi Basho, or in English, A Place Further Than the Universe. Now, this is also anime. What I mean by that is that yes, we have the shonen stuff, right, with the volleyball, and yes, we have the more adult storytelling, but a big chunk of anime, especially a big chunk of anime that is popular in Japan, this is the type of anime that's popular in Japan, is the female protagonists doing fun things. And this is definitely something that is popular, especially in Japan. Sure, it has an audience in the West too, but significantly less than in Japan. If you go to Japan and you go to Akihabara and all that kind of stuff, basically you will see nothing but this. The cute girls with the fun stories and all that kind of stuff. I like it too. It's a fun way of watching anime. But basically we follow this girl right here, Mari, and she feels like she's wasting her youth, basically. And in order to not waste her youth, she wants to do something cool. She wants to do something out of the ordinary. She then meets Shirase, and she wants to go to Antarctica. And Mari just decides to go with her. It's not that easy. It's not like they're just going to get on a boat and we're done. You know, there's a whole complex story that goes before it. But that's basically what this story is about. Eventually they meet other girls that also eventually join them and all that kind of stuff. But it's a very fun and actually quite an emotional anime as well. Would I recommend this to anyone? No. Like I said, this is the kind of stuff that's very popular in Japan. And if you want to kind of get that vibe of, okay, so this is what Japanese folks like, then yeah, watch this. This is one of my favorite genres. They call it the moe genre. I really like it. But if you are more used to American stuff, like I said, go for Psychopaths or something. It'll be more to your liking, most likely. But I felt like I had to recommend this too, simply because it's so popular in Japan. And this is definitely a big chunk of what anime is too. Then we have Violet Evergarden, and Violet Evergarden is probably one of the most beautiful stories I have ever watched, basically. I've ever had to experience. Violet Evergarden is about a woman who basically grew up in war times and knew nothing other than fighting and war and all that kind of stuff. Because of that, she doesn't really experience emotion anymore. She's just... Her emotions basically flatlined, and she only feels like she has to do what her boss tells her, like her commander and stuff. But of course the war ends at some point, and at that point she has no clue anymore what she should do. She then joins, or actually she's told to join a basically a service that writes letters for others in a mostly a romantic way or something of the sort. And as you can imagine, a person that has no emotions anymore doesn't really know how to do that. And she struggles with this a lot. So others have to teach her how to behave and how to feel like a normal person. She sets out to, she goes through all kinds of different places where she meets all kinds of interesting people and basically has to write letters for them. And the emotional stories that actually follow are, like I said, one of the most beautiful stories that I've ever got to experience. It's very emotional, though, so if you don't like drama stories, you're not going to like this. But if you do, or at least you want to try it, go for this one first. It is truly, like I said, beautiful. There's also what we call a dubbed version, and for the people that are new to anime, this might be new to you too. What I mean by that is that there are English voice actors who have contributed their voice to these characters. I would personally advise you to still watch it in Japanese, because Japanese voice actors tend to be, not always, but tend to be better. But I have actually watched the English dub, and it's good for Violet Evergarden. And I cannot say that for every anime, so it is kind of special that an English dub is just as good as the Japanese version. Nonetheless, though, Violet Evergarden, watch it. It's absolutely beautiful. Then we have Steins Gate. And Steins Gate is going to be very confusing for at least the first 10 episodes. There's 24 episodes. The first 10, you're going to have no clue what's going on. You basically meet these different characters. You meet Okabe and Makise and Mayuri, and it's fun. It's a fun story, even at first, even if you have no clue what's going on. But for real, it's going to be confusing as heck. And it's a grand story. It's a beautiful story. but it's also a very confusing story. It's basically, it is based on a game, also called Steins Gate, a visual novel in this case, and people love this visual novel. People also love this anime. Why? Because although the story might be confusing at first, the conclusion is so good, and the actual story is so freaking good that I would advise you to power through it, watch all 24 episodes, and you're gonna love it. I can assure you that you are. It is awesome. It's an awesome show. I cannot tell you anything more. We basically follow a self-proclaimed mad scientist who basically discovers time travel. I cannot say anything more because, like I said, if I spoil this, that would be such a shame. Don't get yourself spoiled. Don't watch, don't look up anything of this story. The only thing that I will say is we follow a mad scientist who discovers time travel, and stuff is going down. Like I said, I'm not gonna say anything more, but it's good. It is really freaking good. Take a look at Steins Gate. Worth it, 100%. Then we have Samurai Champloo, and this is probably one of the best anime ever made. It is not as popular as it used to be. New stuff comes out, new generations of people start to watch anime, and they're not familiar with Samurai Champloo. But let me rephrase it. This used to be, and in my opinion still is, one of the best anime ever created. We follow 3 people. We follow Mugen, Jin, and Fu, who for some reason meet each other and decide to find a samurai that smells like sunflowers. Now, this might sound weird. It kind of is weird, but basically, Fu decides that she wants to find this samurai, and she kind of guilt trips Mugen and Jin into following her. This is all explained in the first episode, so you'll figure out why they follow her. But it's a very episodic anime, meaning that although there is an overarching story, and they will set out to find, or at least try to find the samurai. It's very episodic. So one day, one episode they might try and liberate a woman who is kept as a slave. Another episode they might try and help out a person that is, I don't know, that is in debt. I don't know, all that kind of stuff. And it is, it's because it's episodic, not everyone is going to love it. But frankly, it makes it even better, in my opinion, because it is episodic. The story is eventually concluded, so it's not like it's only episodic and then after, I believe it's, 26 episodes, there's still no conclusion to it. There is. But I think that from the 26 episodes that we have, maybe 4 or 5 actually contribute to the story, and all of the other episodes are just, episodic. But it's good. All of the episodes are fun, and I believe there's only one episode that I genuinely was bored of. Everything else was awesome. So Samurai Champloo is definitely one that I would highly recommend. It's just that if you don't like episodic stuff that don't necessarily contribute to the story, you're not gonna like this. Of course you're not. But for everyone else, it's awesome, for real. Then we have another emotional roller coaster called Shigatsu wa Kimi no Uso, or in English, Your Lie in April. This starts off as a seemingly timid teenage drama story, and eventually it turns into way more. There's a lot of comedy in this anime, actually. It's very fun, it's very funny. But basically we follow Kosei Arima, and he is amazing at the piano. He is probably one of the best piano players in Japan, and maybe even in the world. But he doesn't like the piano. Eventually we also find out why he doesn't like the piano. I won't say why because it's spoiler territory, but he doesn't really like it, even though he's so good at it. He has 2 friends, Tsubaki and Ryota, and they, like I said, it first you think, oh, it's a fun comedy anime about teenagers, but eventually we meet this girl right here, Kaori. And she is going to bring trouble, not because she is trouble, but because of the things that unfortunately happened to her. And, Arima falls in love with her, all that kind of stuff. It is, like I said, a grand story. It is not as dramatic as Violet Evergarden, it really isn't. But it is, it is definitely close. And if you like the high school setting, you might even like Your Lie in April more than Violet Evergarden, because Violet Evergarden is quite an adult story compared to Your Lie in April, which is mainly centered around high schoolers. So I cannot really decide for you which one is better. It depends. I love both, really. This is actually one of the first anime I ever watched, and I'm glad I did because it is so good. There's also, the music is amazing too, because it focuses on musicians. So the music is also gorgeous. Really, the OST is wonderful. It really, really is. So yeah, Your Lie in April, one of the classics, I dare to say. Really, really good. Then we have the absolute classic, the one that is probably the most loved ever, which is Hagane no Renkinjitsushi Full Metal Alchemist, or simply in English, Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. This is about two brothers, Edward and Alphonse, and they are searching for a way to return Alphonse back to his original body. Alphonse is basically, his soul is sealed to this metal shell that you can see here. And, you know, I won't say why, that's major spoilers, but they try to find a way to get his body back. And they live in a world which is filled with what they call alchemy. It's not the alchemy that we know, it's basically a magic-y type of alchemy in which they use circles and all that kind of stuff to summon things that should not be able to be summoned. So lightning, moving stuff, and you'll figure it out yourself. Anyway, it's there's a lot of action, a lot of combat. It's one of the grandest stories I've ever seen. Basically, they travel the world in search of this cure in this case. And there's also a lot of, how should I put it, heavy storytelling as well. There is genocide in this story. There is a lot of murder and death. And like I said, if you expect anime to only be this fan-servicey nonsense, watch Full Metal Alchemist. It'll turn that around very quickly. Because this is a very, although it is focused mainly on a younger audience, I'm not saying under 12 or something, that's not what I mean, but like a teenage audience, whether you're an adult or a teenager or whatnot, you're gonna love this. It is one of the best, if not the best anime ever created, and it has been topping the charts for so many years. When did this come out? 2009, and it's still topping the charts nowadays, even though there's a ton of new anime. That says something about Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. It is awesome. I don't tend to binge watch anime, or anything for that matter, because I don't like it. I like to take my time with stuff. I binge watch this. That's how good it is. It's 64 episodes. It didn't take me long to finish all of it. I loved it. Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, take a look at it. Then we have another anime that is mainly incredibly popular in Japan. This type of anime, again, a moe anime, just like a place further than the universe. It's called K-On! This is personally my favorite anime of all time. It's not the best anime of all time, as you can see in the ranking, but it is my personal favorite. It's basically about 4 girls, eventually 5, who form a band at school. Our main protagonist being Yui Hirasawa, and that's it. It is that's the whole story. They learn, they laugh, they cry. It's a slice of life story. It's a very cutesy story as well. Very popular in Japan, this type of stuff. Do I think a Western audience will like it? Yeah, some. But will this become the most popular thing ever? No. That's why probably things like Full Metal Alchemist are more popular in the West, because it's more resembling of a Hollywood type of movie than we are used to. Now, anyway, K-On! Is good though. Like I said, it's my personal favorite. If I could give my biased opinion, watch this first because I love it so much. But I understand that for most, this might not be the best thing to start with. I did want to include it simply because I love it so much, and also it's popular. But yeah, I get that this is not for everyone. Then we have a truly awesome anime called Anohana. I'll read the full title. Anohi mita hana no namae o bokutachi o mada shiranai. I believe it's like Anohana, the flower we saw that day, or something in English. I don't know. You'll figure it out. If you just type in Anohana in Google, you'll get it. Anohana anime or something. And it's about a group of high schoolers who lose a friend In this case, they lose her. She's dead. But for some reason, and we don't know why, she is still able to communicate with this guy, Jinta. And her friends, and his friends as well, they don't believe him. They don't believe that he still is able to communicate with her because she's dead. And this story is basically about him trying to convince his friends that she's still there. And I'm not going to say anything else, even though there's way more to say, but I don't want to spoil anything. But this is the final episode of this anime. It's so good. It basically makes everyone cry if you watch it. It's so good. Watch this, please. Do me a favor. This is one of the first ones you should watch. It is that good. It only has 11 episodes, so if you really don't like it, it's just 11 episodes. You can just watch the first 3 or 4. You're gonna love it, for real. You're gonna love it. I just know. Okay, then we have Death Note. I'll be short with this one because this is the probably one of the most popular anime ever. It's about a guy called Light Yagami. He picks up this notebook, and it says Death Note on this notebook. He opens it up, he reads it, and it says that if you write a name in this notebook, the person will die. He doesn't believe it, of course. Who would? He just thinks that it's a bunch of nonsense. But at some point, he decides, you know what? I'm going to try it. I'm going to write the name of this bad guy that is now currently on the news, who is holding, I believe it's a primary school hostage or whatnot. He writes his name in the book, and he dies. And then Light basically gets this god complex in which he is going to try to become the new god of the world, basically, and rid the world of all evil. Now, how is that going to go? Gotta figure that out for yourself. But one of the most popular anime ever, and for good reason. It is good. It's really good. Then we have Black Lagoon. For some reason, not as popular as it should be, in my humble opinion. Now, I actually said that with some anime, the dubbed version, the English dubbed version, is just as good as the Japanese version. That's the case with Black Lagoon as well. So if you're kind of iffy on whether you want to listen to the Japanese voices, feel free to listen to the English voices instead. The English voice cast is just as good with Black Lagoon as the Japanese voice cast. In fact, I would dare to argue that in this special case, the English voice cast is even better than the Japanese voice cast. We basically follow this guy right here, Rokuro, and he's on this boat, on this ship, which is actually being captured by modern day pirates. And I'm not talking about the R type of pirates, right? Just pirates, just folks that, just modern day pirates. By this guy, Dutch, and about Revy right here. They capture the ship and they retrieve something from Rokuro that he had to protect. They also capture Rokuro and take him with them. And eventually, Rokuro is betrayed by his own company and he decides to join this group of modern day pirates. And basically they do odd jobs, of course, highly illegal odd jobs. And yeah, that's just the story. I won't say anything else, of course, but that is the story in a nutshell. And it is very action heavy. There's a lot of violence and swearing and all that kind of stuff. But it is so good. And like I said, the English version is just as good, if not even better, than the Japanese version. Highly, highly worth it. Black Lagoon. Take a look at it. And then we have an all-time classic. The final one, Cowboy Bebop, an all-time classic. One of the best anime ever made. It was made in, when was this made? 1998. And it is still ranking as high as it is right now. Even now, right now, if you type in Cowboy Bebop, you will find people making videos about Cowboy Bebop. That's how good it is. And that's how special it is. We follow a group of, bounty hunters. I guess that's the best way of putting it. Spike, Faye, Jet, Edward, and Ein. And yes, Ein is a dog, but he's a highly intelligent dog, so I'm still counting him as well. And basically, they have their own backstories, which are fully explored. We get to know these folks in and out, basically. Their whole backstory. And all of these characters are so good. Also, again, just like with, let me see if I can find it, just like with Samurai Champloo, it is highly episodic, and only a couple of episodes actually contribute to the story, like to the actual plot. But still, it is so freaking good. Cowboy Bebop. And like I said, all of their backstories are highly explored. We get to know these characters in and out, and it is, like I said, it's a classic for a reason. There are, even now, there are basically, it's being remastered and all that kind of stuff. Not by the companies, but by the community. It's being remastered. That's how popular it is. And, you know, just because it's episodic doesn't mean that it's bad. With Samurai Champloo, I can see how some people wouldn't like it because it's episodic. With Cowboy Bebop, I would not be able to understand. Because even if it's episodic, it is so good. And a couple of episodes actually contribute to the overall plot. It is worth it. From all of the ones that you're going to watch in this list, make sure that at least Cowboy Bebop is in your list too. Because it's a gem from the past that if you wouldn't watch it, you're really doing yourself a disservice by not watching it. Because it's one of the best. And it will stay that way for a long, long time. So please, take a look at Cowboy Bebop as well. Now that was the list, a long list and a long video as well. Do me a favor, please, if you like this video, instead of just clicking off, actually click on the like button, please. It helps me out a ton. And if you want to see more videos like this, well, then click on the subscribe button, because you will get recommended more of my videos, which is kind of handy, if I do say so myself. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I was Razovy, and you were you, and I will see you guys later. Goodbye.